Do I have to
Hello?
press? Got it then, huh?
Yep, you've got to give me permission to record you.
All right, okay, there you go. Permission
I can't
granted.
record all your deepest, darkest secrets and broadcast into the world without you saying this.
Don't have any.
You know what I mean?
I am Mr. Boring.
Yeah, we'll see about that in half an hour to an hour's time. Anyway, hello, we have Andy Barratt. Hi, Andy, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello, Donna. Hello, everybody else. Assuming there is anybody else. But anyway, my name's Andy Barratt, or Andrew Barratt, if you prefer. I write the CSI Eddie Collins novels, and also prior to that, the Soccer Roger Coniston novels as well. I'm a CSI, work for West Yorkshire Police. I've done for 26 years, and that's how long I've been writing crime novels for.
Did you always know that you wanted to be a writer?
I answered this question in a written interview recently, and I suppose the answer is yes. Boring, maybe. But yeah, I always liked creating things. I've always enjoyed mechanical things, beautiful mechanical things. I'm trying to think now of the correlation I made between the mechanical things and the writing, and I can't for the life of me remember what I said. But yeah, I've always enjoyed writing. I've always enjoyed creating things. So yeah, I suppose so. I've always wanted to be a writer. My first written stuff was in the early 80s, and that was a book called Charlotte's Lodge. Oh no, prior to that, there was another one called Lord and Master. That was horrific. We won't go into that very much, but Charlotte's Lodge was the first proper book I wrote. And it was okay, except there's a lot of head jumping going on in each chapter. And I read it about 10 or 12 years ago, hoping to resurrect it, and I just binned it. It's shocking. So no, we don't go there anymore. That's one for the bottom drawer. That's The Apprenticeship Served, is that one, and the couple that followed it as well.
So 2 questions on the back of that. One, right. What made you decide to go for it and write a book to be published? And secondly, how did you end up as a soccer if you always wanted to write?
They both went hand in hand. I can remember the interview questions actually when I went for one of the soccer jobs, and they were talking about what I'd done in order to research the bits of forensics that I knew about, and part of that was pulling a body out of a river, and I wanted to know if the body was there long enough, would the arm fall off if you tried to pull it like a chicken? You know, it's an overcooked chicken, and apparently, yeah, it probably would do, and that sort of ingratiated them towards me. I think it was one of the reasons why I got the job in the first place. So what was the second question?
And what made you finally take the plunge and start writing to get published?
Well, before I wrote to get published, I wrote for myself because I enjoyed it. Like I said, back in the 80s, I wrote Lord and Master, and it was truly atrocious, but I thoroughly enjoyed writing. I got a big thrill out of it, creating things that that only you can see, but hopefully the reader can see as well once they've got hold of it. And I enjoyed the process, and it was very cathartic, and I just loved getting words down on paper, and I loved being in another world. And then back in, so I've written Charlotte's Lodge, Knavesmire, and another book I can't remember the title of, and they're in the bottom drawer somewhere. I haven't seen those for 20 odd years. And then in 96, 97, I wrote the first Coniston book, A Long Time Dead. Then I wrote Stealing Elgar and No More Tears in about 2000, up to about 2004ish, and then I didn't do anything for a while after that, until the beginning of The Third Rule, which turned out to be the first Eddie Collins book. It was supposed to be a standalone book, but I was a bit stupid back then. I fell in love with the character and just didn't know when to stop writing. It turned out that The Third Rule didn't really belong in the series that followed anyway, because it had a little bit of a political element to it. So it turned it from a pure crime thriller into something else that just doesn't fit, which is why, fast forward to today, which is why I've written The Pain of Strangers and introduced that as the first book, because that is a pure crime thriller. And I've forgotten what else you were talking about now.
No, that's fine. That sort of answers.
You'll get this a lot. I've been working very hard over the last 7 days. I'm knackered now. So carry on. What were you saying? Oh,
Well,
that's right. Yeah, the publishing part that didn't come until about 2011. And in between that time, I'd done some script writing with a buddy from work, and that all went very well until Michael Grade pulled the plug on Yorkshire Television's drama department. But that's a whole other story. And then in 2011, a mate of mine said, "Did you know that there's such a thing called Kindle, and you can publish your own books?" And I says, "That's Vanity Publishing." He says, "No, it's not." And I looked into it, and lo and behold, it wasn't. And so I published Charlotte's Lodge, and it bombed for reasons I've just mentioned. And then I published a long time, didn't it? Did very well indeed. Thank you very much. So that was the beginning, if you like, of my published career. I did have an agent in about 99, 2000. But it didn't go very well, and we parted company after about a year. And after that, I sort of realized that I think the traditional publishing world perhaps wasn't for me anyway. So after dealing with him for a year, I went back and just carried on writing for myself because, as I previously said, I love doing it. So it was easy for me. I loved it.
So you briefly mentioned The Pain of Strangers, which was out today and is awesome and is already in my top 10 of the year.
Thank you very much. It was very kind of you to say so. I had a lot of good feedback from it.
It's because it's awesome.
It what?
It's because it's awesome. That's why.
Oh, that's tremendous. I can't tell you how much that means to me because I wrote that over the last year, and within the last year, we've had little baby Lottie. This is a new baby. Hold on, I have a picture of her here. Can you see that? She's beautiful.
Lovely blue eyes.
Yeah, everything about her is gorgeous. I've fallen in love with her. She's beautiful. Not to mention, I'm still in love with my own daughter. That's Ellie. So writing that book was in fits and starts, or stits and farts, whichever you prefer, over the last year or so, and I was worried it was going to be a very staccato kind of production where nothing flowed. Everything's got to flow properly through a book, and I was worried to death that this. I got to the end of it and I think, actually, this is crap. I sent it out to 2 people and said, "Is it any good?" Because I genuinely didn't. I'm not kidding. I genuinely didn't know, because you get so involved with it, you're too close to it, people say. And so I needed a couple of opinions. Is it any good? Shall I bother publishing it? And they said, yeah, publish it, yeah. And people like yourself have been saying it's awesome ever since. So really, really pleased about that.
And it's only day 1 of the blog tour, so you've got lots more reviews to come in yet.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing them. I really am. Yeah. And I also want to crack on with book number 7 as well, but I can't do that at the moment because I'm very busy.
Well, yeah.
People think it's just writing, but it's not. There's lots and lots of other things to do. Loads of other things to do. If you're an indie author like me, you're busy all the time. And I've got a family, and I've got a full-time job that's 50 hours a week sometimes, so 56 hours a week sometimes. So yeah, it can get quite hectic at times.
I'll get the violins out for you. It's fine.
Yes, please do, and send chocolates.
Okay, I can do that. As you're already working as a soccer, have you had to do much more research for your book?
No, I'm quite lazy. People seem to think that we are, because we might wear white suits and we go in there with magnifying glasses and such, and bits of chemicals and stuff like that messing about in crime scenes, that we're scientists, and we're really not. The true science happens in the lab. We just collect the evidence that we hope is going to carry the case forward. So no, I haven't done a great deal of research. There are other authors out there who their plots are really in-depth scientific, and quite often they'll come to me and ask me questions that I just don't know the answers to, and I have to go and I'll try to find out for them. But my plots aren't as deep as that, because I don't think they need to be, because mine's more about the character than about the plot anyway, because I always believe that character's king. Story is great, you need a good story, I think, but I think character is king, because people want to see him or her and then perhaps envisage themselves in the same situation. What would you do in this situation? So I think character is very important.
Yes. Yeah, I wouldn't say that your book is any less detailed. It's just not scientific, which is fine for a crime book.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky. I'm not stupid. I know how lucky I am, because I know there's a lot of authors would kill to do what I do, just for a couple of weeks to see what it's like inside a murder scene or another crime scene. But to me, I don't have to go far into my mind to pull that kind of detail out. So I'm very, very lucky. I know I am, and it's easy. Sorry.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that too much around other crime authors. They might actually hurt you.
I'm aware of this. Dear. It's good though, because I can help them out. When I was with Bloodhound Books several years ago, I used to get quite a few authors coming to me and asking me questions via email, and I still do now. Not necessarily Bloodhound authors, but authors worldwide, and it's great to be able to help them. And some are kind enough to put me in the back of their book in the acknowledgements, so that's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, I've helped a couple since people learned about my degree, so
Good girl.
Get some very funny messages.
Yeah,
just random. Yeah, how long would it take a child to defrost in a freezer? Okay. No lead up, no hi, how are you? Just hi.
Yeah. We won't talk about that tonight, I don't think.
Luckily, I know that crime authors are just weird, so it's fine.
They are, but sometimes their stories, their questions go very deep. Sometimes it's actually just happened. Do you know what I mean? Like you were talking about the frozen baby just then. Never mind, I'm not saying any more on that one.
I'll ask you after, because obviously I'm fascinated because I love forensics.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, okay.
Does it not bother you? Like, is it not a busman's holiday when you write about all the stuff that you not exactly experience day to day? But
that's a good question. You said you were going to ask some. That's one of them. It's not a busman's holiday. Oh, I love my job. I absolutely love my job. There's parts of it that I hate. Don't get me wrong, but the essence of my job I love, and I really do enjoy what I do. I've done it for 20 odd years, so I should do really. But I enjoy writing as well. And like I said, most of my writing is concentrating on Eddie Collins rather than the crime scene. Don't get me wrong. I want to use the crime scene and make it interesting for people, but I want people to focus on him. And that, if you read some of the reviews now for The Pain of Strangers, that seems to be what people concentrate on the most, which is just what I wanted. So no, it's not a busman's holiday. I really enjoy my job anyway, so I'm happy to write about it. But I don't want to go into too much detail. You don't want to sound like an encyclopedia. People are reading a fiction book for entertainment, aren't they? Not for knowledge. So just a soupçon is all that is required, I think, rather than a main course.
And if you did give all the detail, then it's really boring and really long anyway. So
yeah, my job, you get such backache, such headache from it. People think it's glamorous because they watch CSI Miami, and it's not all about yachts and sunshine and birds in sunglasses. Trust me, it's not. It's all about shit and slugs and blood and
sweating your ass off in then horrible suits. I hate them.
Cannabis farm for 8 hours. It is no fun at all, I promise you.
You just got that. That's all you've got of air. The rest of you's covered.
Yeah. I don't wear them damn suits if I can get away with it anyway, because the sticky, horrible things they are. That's why I make such a big fuss about them in the books, because you tear them putting them off, you tear them getting them off. Oh, it's shocking. You can't get to your phone, you can't get to your torch, you can't get to your radio, you can't get to your keys. So I end up with holes all over the damn thing when I've just put my hand through to get my keys or whatever. I hate the damn things.
Yeah. We only had to wear them at uni, and that was bad enough.
Yeah.
I did have to walk through uni once wearing the whole lot, and obviously there was a group of us, and everyone found that highly fascinating.
Yeah.
So, oh god, this is so embarrassing.
Yeah, it is when you go out to your van. You're wearing a full scene suit. There's all the television cameras there. The only good thing is that they can't recognise you because everybody's dressed the same, but it's embarrassing all the same. Yeah.
If you were to take a character out from any of your books for a meal, who would you choose and what would you ask them?
I'm tempted to go for Eddie Collins, but I'm not going to do. I think I'd like either Benson or Charles, to be honest with you. I think Charles is a pretty funny character, and it doesn't mean to be funny. It's just his old school in he's an old fella, and I've got a lot of respect for older people. I'm getting there myself now, but I've got a lot of respect for him because he bless him, he doesn't have to try to help Eddie, and Eddie has none of it, does he? And he tries to cook for him. He tries to provide a decent meal for him on an evening time, and he gets no thanks for it whatsoever, even though it is burnt to a crisp. But he tried, that's the main thing. So I like Charles. I think I'll probably take him out for a meal just to get him away from Eddie for a while.
Yeah, Benson's cool. Some of the lines between him and Eddie are just brilliant.
Yeah, I like him. I always have liked him. That's why when I was choosing my characters to bring from the third rule, obviously Eddie is there, but I liked Benson as well. They've got a really good rapport, so he had to come along as well.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you did. Yeah, because some of the just laugh out loud with them too. They're great.
I have good fun with those two.
I
Much
can
more
imagine.
fun than I'm entitled to, I think, really. But yeah, I do have good time with them both.
I can see you sitting there chuckling to yourself.
They have a good banter. I mean, I could get into trouble for things that they probably would say. The giggles they have between each other. I don't think you can get away with it. We can at work. It's funny writing. I have lots of emails from people saying, why must you swear so much? Well, excuse fucking me. You ought to try working in our situation, and it's just an F blast all day long. It really is. I've actually toned the swearing down in the books because it's like that all day long. And if you meet some of the young criminals that we meet, every word's F. Really, they can construct a complete sentence just out of fucks all the way through it. So yeah, for those people who complain, if you wanted reality, I'm giving it as real as I can get it without being too coarse, you know. In the front of this particular book, I've got proud to swear in British English, and I think I'll put that in all the other books as well, because the amount of people, especially, I love Americans, I've worked with them and I love them, but some of the more extreme ones, they've got no tolerance for anything else. It's amazing. So we've had a couple of email arguments over the years with people who are a bit up at it. My final response to them is, well, why do you read my books if you don't like swearing, really? So
yeah.
Anyway.
I say that about working in retail as well. I swear I'm generally, I don't swear much unless I'm at work, and then
yeah, absolutely. And I wonder if it's an English thing that people swear so much, but then again, you watch some American films and it's just like that all the way through.
I know. Yeah, that's why it always shocks me that they're so sensitive about swearing. Like, they're always swearing. They swear more than we do, I swear, in films and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you look at some New Zealand stuff or some Australian stuff, and they are worse than we are. So yeah, I've toned it down a little bit, but not much.
A question that I ask quite a lot of crime writers, which would be interested to hear your answer, is if you were to be a fictional murderer, how would you kill your victims?
Do you know, one of the best ways I can think of is in The Pain of Strangers. You know what I'm talking about. We can't give anything away, obviously, but nothing hides a body better than nature. Really, and there's no greater force of nature than water, I don't think, especially if it's rolling over rocks and such. But
yeah, that was a nice little touch, I guess.
That was what?
Sick. A nice little touch.
Yeah, did you like that? Yeah, I enjoyed writing all that. I really did. Could you tell?
A little bit, yes.
Yeah, and burial's another good one. If you do it right, it's another good one. And I'm not going to tell you how to do it right, but just use your imagination. You'll get there.
Yeah, I love that question because genuinely people don't have to go, oh, I've never thought about that. They're like, oh, I'd do this. I wouldn't do that. And I'd do this.
Go back to the Breaking Bad way of disposing of bodies. Is it hydrochloric acid in a PPE plastic bath they use or something like that? That's another good way. That's another good way. But you've got problems of getting hold of materials and coping with the smell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Find some deep dark woodland somewhere dig a good grave, you'll be all right.
Yeah, you have to go deep.
Yeah, you do.
No point being doing a shallow grave, is there?
No.
Yeah. I know, bless these lazy people that can't bother to dig properly.
I
What do
know.
they expect?
Yeah.
And if you were fictionally murdered, who would you want to investigate your case?
I think DCI Logan. He's quite good. I really enjoy the what is it? Yeah, I'd go for Logan and Eddie. Yeah, they'd make a good pair, I think.
What was one of the most fun scenes in your books that you wrote, and what was one of the most difficult, without spoilers, if you can?
Well, I always go straight to this for what was the most difficult one to write, and that's in the third rule. I can still call him Eddie because I've not rewritten it yet. But Eddie has a son called Sam, and Sam gets knocked over and killed, and that nearly happened in my first marriage. I've got a boy called Lewis, and he was about 3 or 4, and he ran down the driveway, and I just wasn't fast enough. I was chasing him down the driveway, chasing him like this, scared shitless, and he beat me, and he got onto the road. Luckily, there was nothing coming, and I scooped him up, and away we went. And I used that in the third rule in that particular scene, but there was something coming in that particular scene, and he ended up killing him. And I had tears streaming down my face when I was writing that, because I let my imagination go. What would happen if? And I allowed it to happen, and it's horrible, raw to write. Really did not like that at all. And the heartbreaking thing, I'm lucky enough to get a lot of emails from a lot of readers, and one of the emails said that happened to me, and you described it perfectly. I thought, oh, I felt so bad for him. To bring that back, if you like, for them, it was horrible. Yeah, I'm conscious of writing things like that now for fear of upsetting people, but they know what they're getting into. I hope when they buy a crime book, it's going to have crime in it. It's going to have death in it, So I felt really bad, but not bad enough to stop doing it. And the best things to write for me is dialogue. I love writing dialogue between two characters who are interacting very well, like Benson and Eddie. I love writing them. And oh boy, it wasn't Oh Boy, was it? What was his? What was the DI's name I used in the Roger Coniston books? I can't remember his name now, to my shame. But it was 2004, so come on, you can cut me some slack. Yeah, and I originally called him D.I.O. Boyle after a D.I.O. Boyle at Halifax that I used to work with in 1996. And I told you I got an agent. He got me an editor, and the editor said there's no such Irish name as O'Boyle. And I thought, yeah, there is. Anyway, they forced me to take it out, which is another one of the reasons why I just bailed, because they were forcing me to do things I didn't want to do. Not of sexual nature, just in the books.
Yes, please.
I don't mind taking advice from people, certainly, but I don't like being told what to do. And I think that's happened throughout my life, really. Don't tell me what to do. I don't like. But yes, to answer your question, dialogue. I love writing sparkly dialogue, and I quite like writing prose as well. And I started off writing purple prose many years ago. Purple prose is when it's very flowery, and it's more like a poem than it is exposition. And I learned my lesson. I read Stephen King, and I read James Herbert, Bernard Cornwell, all those people, and I learned that exposition doesn't need to be poetic. It just needs to get to the point, and that's what I try and do now. So I like writing exposition. Shit, I just like writing, Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, you haven't mentioned that at all so far. I've never got that impression at all. Yeah,
it's strange, isn't it?
That's good though. It's nice when you enjoy it.
Oh yeah. Honestly, there's nothing like it, and I'm surprised there aren't more people do. I know since 2012, when I began publishing it on Amazon, you used to be able to do a giveaway of a book and guarantee it hit #1 because it would download 8,000-10,000 times. no problem. And that's what happened to A Long Time Dead. And the last time I gave A Long Time Dead away, I think it was downloaded about 400 times now. So many people. It's expanded enormously as Amazon. And there are so many more writers out there now. I mean, good luck to them. Everybody should be a writer. It's brilliant. It's good for your head. It really is. But yeah, everybody should write. Get on with it.
I have actually written it, sort of. I'm getting there anyway.
Have you?
Yeah.
Super. Great.
Talking to you lot.
Are you enjoying it?
I love it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Totally addicted. I just want to do it all the time.
Yeah. Why aren't you doing it now then, apart from interviewing me?
Blog tours.
Yeah.
And reading. Work. Yeah.
You know something? I'm shocking at reading. I really am. Honestly, I would read much more if I could. It turns out that I read half an hour, 3/4 of an hour in bed before I drop to sleep, and that's it. Most nights. But more often than not, if I've got an hour to read or write, I write every time. I can't get enough of it. It's brilliant. I love it. But I don't often get to pure writing, you know, first draft writing, because I've got emails to do and I've got the website to update, and it's all, you don't want to hear about all the stuff that goes on, but there's so much to do. The foundation is massive for the little bit of a book that comes out at the top. You know, everything, it's like a pyramid. Massive foundation to begin to maintain, you know, just to get a book a year out. I mean, some people write. There's Mel Conley, she writes like one a month, and you think, how do you do this? I had no idea. And she's got a high standard as well, so I don't know, no idea how people can do that, because I certainly can't. Even if I didn't have a job, I couldn't do that. No, I can't.
Yeah, I'm trying to cut down my blog tours, because I had 2 today. So I had yours, which I'd already read, so that was fine. Then another one, so I only posted it about 8:30, I think, because I hadn't finished it.
Yeah. Does it take you a long time to get into the zone when you sit down with what do you use, a laptop or a typewriter or pen and paper? What do you use?
What to write? My laptop.
And does it take you a long time to zone in and get where you are? Or are you just straight at it?
Yeah, and I'm writing, I start writing a chapter, and if I'm not feeling it, then I'll just go on to another one and write what I feel like. So yeah. So then at some point I'm going to have to get that mishmash of stuff into some kind of order. But I'll worry about that in a while.
Are you a pantster then, or do you plot things out? Yeah. Pantster's the best. Honestly, that's the way to go. It really is. And I know one writer who plots out in the minutest detail. But do you know, that would stifle me, and I'd be thinking all the way through, oh crap, I can't deviate from this. And if you do deviate, then you've got all the rest of your plans that are all to cock now. So no, I sort of see an ending somewhere, and that I aim for that roughly, and we get there in the end. And sometimes I get to that ending and I think, oh, this is crap, and I need to think of something else. The third rule, I wrote 6 endings for that before I was happy with it. And they weren't like a couple of hundred words, they were 10,000 words each. Oh dear, the time we waste on writing is incredible, especially when it's particularly crap, or it's an ending that you don't want, and you throw it away and you start all over again. Anyway, that's part of the joy of us, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess. I know what my last line, I was laying down trying to nap, and then this line popped into my head, and I'm like, I've got to have that, and I've got to put it on my phone, otherwise I'm going to forget. And then I couldn't sleep, and ended up just writing it down. So I'm like, that's it, that's the last line.
About 10-12 years ago, I tried some on my mobile phone. I tried what was it now, a speech to text, and I rattled this story off that was brilliant. And then I went to sleep, and then I woke up the next day and I had a look at what I'd written, and there was not one word on it made any sense whatsoever. The stupid damn software back then did not work at all, and I committed a story to it and I couldn't remember the damn story. So yeah, beware of software. Now I just, if I have to do that, I just use like a voice recorder on my phone, and then I'm all right for that. I can type it up from there. That's all right. But never text to speech to text again. Never.
Yeah, you've got, although your accent isn't strong, but you've got a bit of an accent, I suppose, and that stuff just doesn't like accents, does
No,
it?
no, no. Apparently, like there's Dragon software now, which will eventually learn you and recognize the way you speak. But I know of a few authors again who write, who speak their stories, but I have no idea how they would do that, because when you're writing, the act of typing gives you enough time to think of whatever's going on next, whereas when you're speaking, you're in the moment. And so how on earth do you plan the next bit unless you've got lots of ums and ahs and ers? Wouldn't know what to do. So no, I give me a keyboard anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. I know one author that does that, and every now and then she posts some of her typos where she's spoken, and some of them are hilarious. They're great. Yeah, I guess she only posts the really funny ones, but they are really funny. It's like, how on earth?
Yeah.
I think there was one where she shouted to one of her pets or something as well. That was really funny.
Imagine that not being taken out and left in as some kind of a typo. Get down, Fido.
Yes.
Right in the middle of another scene. Oh,
yeah, it was great. It was hilarious. When you do come to edit your books, what's your most overused word or phrase?
I've been told off, and now I recognise I use "and then" a lot. And so I do a search for that, and I'd be surprised at how many times I can just put a semicolon in and get rid of "and," or I can just get rid of "then." I can get rid of loads of, and also I find myself saying "he looked" and "he smiled," but there's no need to include that if you can think of other machinery to use to get around that. There's no need to be so repetitive. So as I'm writing books, I'm learning more as well, and I'm trying to get better at it. I don't think you ever stop learning, do you? Especially where writing and stories is concerned. And so the more you write, the better you become, I think. Oops. Hello, doggy.
Obviously not getting enough attention. Oh, I'm sorry.
What about you? Do you repeat phrases a lot, or?
I feel like really.
Oh dear.
Really is mine, yeah, really this, really that.
All
I know
right.
I'm doing it now as well, so I try not to, but you know, when you're just in the zone and it's whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
You've got to teach yourself out of it. I find myself writing "and then," and I'll just delete, and I'll come back and try something else. More often than not, I can get around it. Sometimes I just leave it in because I have to. Sometimes I leave it in just to piss off this person who complained about it.
Oh dear. Do you hide any secret jokes or messages in your books that only a few people will understand?
No, not really. What you see is what you get with my stuff. It's fairly straightforward. There's no hidden messages in it. There's no.
One person tried to get a link to Alice Cooper into all of her books because she's a huge Alice Cooper fan, which I thought was quite funny.
Yeah, I don't mind that, but no, I've never attempted to do anything like that at all. Not that I can remember, anyway. You watch somebody find something now.
Yeah. Give a challenge out to readers.
Yeah, I might do that in the next one actually. See what I can put in there.
Yeah, little Easter egg.
Yeah, might have problems printing it, but I see.
No, you'll be fine. You worry too much.
Oh, I don't worry at all. No, I do a real awful lot.
Yeah. Have you made lots of author friends since you started writing?
Yeah, it's a really good community. They're very supportive. Most of them are just online, and that's even excluding the last 2 years where nobody got out anyway. I tend not to go to many events. I don't really like mingling with live people. Dead ones are better, and they don't talk back. But live ones, I have problems with live people. I'm not really good at it. I'm fine over a keyboard. Love it. Interact with lots of people over a keyboard, but I'm not really good in person. But yeah, having said that, I've met some really good people. Yeah, some people I would genuinely call friends, and that's something to cherish these days.
Yes. I'm the same, actually. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, you'll have met an awful lot more authors than I have. Because of your
I-
blog tours and your interviewings and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, it's insane. And a lot of them have become friends, which is awesome as well.
Yeah, it is a
Yeah.
close community. There's despite the fact there's thousands of them out there. I think, would you find that they congregate per genre? You get lots of crime writers together and then probably romance writers together and stuff, because
Yeah,
they'll mix in the same categories and the same Facebook groups and such, won't they? So
yeah, you get a few that sort of go in between, but not many.
yeah,
Because it's interesting. I'm helping to organise a author signing, because I don't do enough already, in May, and that's a multi-genre, so it's 60 odd authors,
oh wow,
and that's romance and history and sci-fi and
wow.
fantasy, crime. So it'll be interesting to see if they all sort of stick to their
I bet they
little
do.
groups. Yeah, I bet they do.
I suppose there must be a few extrovert writers out there, but I bet 90% are introvert.
And weird. You're all weird. All
Yeah,
of you, without
I'm
exception.
certified weird. I know I'm already weird.
Yeah, but then I think crime readers are weird as well, so it's fine. This is why we come together.
A nice big pool of people, yeah.
Oh, by waving my arms around, I've done my 10,000 steps for the day.
Oh, you really? That's how to do it. Not to do with it in a big bang, just have a machine that does it for you.
Yeah, kind of defeats the object there, doesn't it?
So just sitting around waving your arms.
Do you get a lot of feedback from your readers, and have you ever had any funny or weird feedback?
Yeah, lots of feedback from me. I have a large pool of ARC readers. I have I have a tiny pool, you might call one or two people, of alpha readers. One specifically, Kath Middleton, my angel, and I've known her for a long time. She does all my alpha reading. And I have a group of about 10 beta readers. And then I have between 150 and 200 ARC readers. And they're all very good at getting back to me. And I really enjoy it. I enjoy communicating with them. I enjoy their points of view, because I'll read something as a writer that I've written, think it makes perfect sense, and to other people it makes no sense whatsoever, and I'll go, it's a little bit ambiguous, so you flip it around a bit and it makes perfect sense. In the book I've just written, am I giving anything away by it? No, I'm not. If I word it like this, Eddie gets into his van, and then 2 pages later he goes as fast as he can in the Jaguar, and then he gets out of the Jaguar and closes the van door, or something like that, And that's because one of these ARC readers said you'd be better off him being in the Jaguar rather than his van. And I thought, well, yeah, okay, that makes perfect sense. I'll do that. But I only thought I'd mentioned it twice. So I corrected those two and left the 2 outer ones. And so I've had 30, 40 people mentioning this, which is really kind of them. But it also makes you wonder what happened to the other 100 that didn't mention it, So you do get some really good comments. And I think for those people who are starting out, if you don't have a pool of a good cross section of people to read your stuff and send you their comments, you're missing out enormously on what you could do, not to please everyone, because I don't think you ever can please everyone, but I think you're missing out on perhaps some golden advice out there. So as quickly as you can, you should build up some kind of a following, or I hate to call them fans and I hate to call them followers, but you ought to build up some kind of a pool of people who support your writing there. How's that?
I try and tell this to authors. Yeah. One of the first questions I ask if they want to know like how to help promote their books, and have you got an art group? Because it's just gold, isn't it? You've got a team of cheerleaders basically ready to help share your book. So why wouldn't you? Yeah. So yeah, it's the first question. My first recommendation: get an art group. Then you're sorted.
I've got a really good Facebook group as well. Dee Crew, she's my admin on there, as is Patty. She'll know who she is, and Gail as well, and Rebecca and Catherine. They're all my admins on that group, and they're all brilliant. There's no, they don't have to keep anybody in line, because it's not a fisticuff kind of group. They're all very genteel, but they give excellent feedback and some terrific support. And if I'm not sure, I'm not good with people, as I already said, but if there's things need doing on there, I ask them, what the hell should I do? And they say, oh, you do this now. Oh, okay. Do you want to sort that out? So they're brilliant. So even if you don't, if you're not a people person, like I'm not a people person, get surrounded by some good people and they'll help you. And I can't believe how much debt I'm into with these guys on there. It's really good.
Yeah, they're awesome. You've got more admins in your group for loads fewer people than I have in mine.
Yeah, I wanted to, it's a worldwide group, as is probably all Facebook groups, but I wanted people who were there and available, irrespective of the time of night and day, because I work night and day, so I'm never there all the time, you know. So I wanted people who I could trust, who would look after things in my absence, so to speak. And Dee, she's doing me another big favor as well. She's looking after all the reviews. I complained, I shouldn't really complain really, but I complained that there's a hell of a lot of admin involved with checking reviews and such. Every time you send out a book, there's hundreds of people wanting to read it, and a very small proportion actually review. And I think it's a bit unfair, that really. So to administrate it yourself is an enormous time suck, and it just, I couldn't get on with any writing because of it for weeks and months after the damn book was released. And I mentioned it to Dee. She says, oh, well, I'll do it for you. And so she is doing beautiful, really good. Bless her. She's got a heart this big. Bless her. She's a really good lass.
She is awesome, yeah. I met her briefly at Harrogate last year. But I think she was poorly. And she said it wasn't alcohol. I'm not convinced.
I'd be surprised. Yeah, I hope we have another meeting soon. It'd be good. Get together again.
Yes, I'm on a mission to meet as many people as possibly can. So
good for you. If you're an open, outgoing kind of a person, that's great.
I'm not. That's the funny thing. I really, everyone doesn't believe me, but I mean, I went to bloody Scotland on my own, which I live in Bedfordshire, so it's quite far.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was nervous because it's miles away and I was on my own, but
yeah,
I was like, nah, it'll be fine. I'll know people once I'm there, hopefully.
Yeah. Good for you. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm genuinely shy. But I know no one believes me. Honestly, that's what working in retail does anyway. It forces you to be loud.
Yeah.
That's my excuse.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it anyway. So that's all I've got. What was I going to ask you? Oh, if you were able to spend a day with any author, dead or alive, who would you like to spend a day with?
That's an enticing one, isn't it? I'd probably say Stephen King's up there. So is James Herbert. When I read The Rats and Leia and such, I was blown away by those books. I have to be honest, I wasn't particularly keen on his last one, Ash, I think it was called. But as a writer, brilliant. Same with Stephen King. I'd like to meet him as well. Otherwise, Michael Wood, I'd like to meet him. I think he's sort of South Yorkshire way. Yeah, that'd be about it, I think. Bernard Cornwell, he wrote the Winter trilogy featuring a character called Derval. And the first book I read, I think he was missing either a finger or a hand. I can't remember which it was now. And I was gobsmacked by this because I thought, well, that hampers him throughout the other two books. I knew it was going to be a trilogy. And when it got to the end of that trilogy, I was gobsmacked. How on earth did this man conceive of this huge story? It was fascinating. I loved it. And I've still got more of his to read when I get round to it. But yeah, Stephen King, I'll go for him. I've met Jeffrey Deaver. Skived off work to go and see Jeffrey Deaver at Waterstones in Leeds. That was good. Yeah, so I'll go for those, I think. What
But
about
yeah,
yourself?
I saw I had Stephen King, no question. And yeah, James Herbert would be cool. And Kathy Wrights maybe, because she's the reason I decided to do a forensics degree.
Yeah.
So
What's
yeah.
her character called again? I read one of those last year. I can't remember it. See what I mean? You've got the same kind of memory. Did you get yours from Costco as well?
You know what? I can read a book for 4 or 5 hours, finish it, character names gone. Every time I have to go back and find them, it drives me insane.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I really
It's
do. I'm not
bones,
just saying
isn't
that.
it?
Yeah.
I shouldn't. I've read all of her books. There's so many. How can I not know what? I don't know.
Is it Kay Scarpetta? Is that the one?
No, isn't that Patricia Cornwell?
Oh, that's it. Of course it is. Yeah. Yeah, I should know that. I used that in a book.
Yeah, she follows me on Twitter now, although she follows loads of people, but that's still cool.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah.
Ian Rankin tweeted me back, and so did Lee Child.
Really?
So I have my little fangirl moments, yeah.
Oh, that's good, is that? I don't get any people famous tweeting me at all. They all still tweet me.
Yeah, Lee Child follows me. I'm like, oh, that's so cool, because I've never met him. I'd quite like to meet him as well.
Oh, well, if he follows you and you tweeted about my book today, he's read my name. Eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hi, Lee.
And do you know his name, Lee Child, is a pseudonym as well. It's not really his name.
Yeah, but I can't remember what it is now.
No, I can't remember. I read his biography by Heather Martin, which is why he started following me.
Ah, very good.
Yeah, and now if I tweet his name, then he retweets and says thanks and stuff. It's like,
Can you do a tweet with his name in it and my name in it? Get him to retweet that.
But if I do a follow Friday next Friday, then I'll do you and him in the same tweet, and then
go on.
There you go.
Yeah. Make a note of that. Don't forget. Go on.
I'll put it in the notes on my phone, otherwise there's no chance.
Thank you.
It's not like I forgot our interview or anything.
No, I understand that.
I was sitting there thinking, I'm sure there was one. I'm sure I told people that I had one at 2 and one at 4.
Yeah. Well, 4 turned into 9, didn't it? So.
Well, better late than never, right? It was worth waiting for.
Yeah, oh, bless you.
So when you're not working and you're not writing or reading or looking after your little ones, and you get, 2 minutes of free time, what do you like to do with it?
If I'm not reading or writing or family or working, I suppose I used to draw a lot. I don't do it anymore because if I get the chance to draw or write, I write. So I don't do that anymore. But up there above my head, if I can get you to it, there, that Queen poster, that's pencil. I did that 30 years ago, and I've got other horror type ones. Do you remember the was it James Herbert or Stephen King that had a severed woman's head on the front cover like that? You probably won't remember it. I copied that, done a couple more drawings like that, sort of freaky ones. A couple look like that. There's another one with I call this the Skull and Sword, which is an abstract name, obviously. It's Skull and Sword. But apart from that, I like watching films. My favourite film is The Martian, and I like The Heat and Ronin and all kinds of action films like that. I love them. And Sideways is an excellent film as well, if you like deep stuff.
I don't have time. I'm too busy reading.
Yeah, all right, okay. Well,
although I did make exception to watch Reacher, and that was nothing to do with the guy's muscles or the fact that he took his t-shirt off frequently. Absolutely nothing at all to do with that.
Hey, Donna, I believe you. I believe.
I know thousands wouldn't. Most people don't.
No.
It was good, actually. To be fair, it was really good.
Yeah, I've heard mixed reviews. I started to watch. I loved The Heat, rather, and I started to watch it nearly 4 weeks ago, and I got 25 minutes into it. Prior to that, I wanted to watch Interstellar again. Have you seen Interstellar with I can't remember his damn name now. This is a conversation with me all the time. I can't remember. And that took me a week to watch it in two or three halves, 2 hours or 3/3. I can't remember which it was. But I do like watching films, but it's not often I get to watch a full one in one go, do you know?
Yeah, I mean, generally I watch nothing. I have the TV on in the background for noise, but I'm usually reading. But Reacher, I watched beginning to end in one go, which is really unusual for me. But it was good.
It's just the t-shirt moments, isn't it? That's all it is. It kept you glued to it.
Just waiting for the next one, yeah, pretty much. Very
This should come as a certificate 18, really, shouldn't it?
No, sadly, it just goes. Oh, it does get it down to his boxes.
What are you going to say then? Down to his box. Dear.
Well, I watched Sex Life, and that's tainted me for life now. There's an episode in Sex Life where a guy turns around in the shower and is naked, and it's just like, whoa.
I don't know what that is. Is it a Channel 4 thing or something? I don't know, is it?
It was a Netflix thing, I think.
All right.
Yeah. That was, all the women know that scene.
Oh.
All the women.
All right. Oh, I see.
Yes.
Are you a Love Island fan as well, then? Is it Love Island?
No, my God, I would not watch that trash. I would not.
Oh, that's what I thought.
Disgrace my telly with that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, I have standards ish.
Right, that's below the standards, is it? Right, I see.
Which leads me interestingly to who was your first celebrity crush?
Oh, I know who it was. See if you can get it from this. Partly because I can't remember her name, and I'm not kidding. Oh, I just come to me. But anyway, she was on The Good Life. You don't even know The Good Life, do you? Because you're too young.
I've heard of it. I don't think I've seen it, and I bet I'm not as young as you think I am.
Oh, I'm not inquiring. You don't inquire a lady's age.
You can ask if you want. I wouldn't be offended.
No, it's all right. Go on. Who do you think it is then? Felicity Kendall.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Oh, I tell you who else as well. Sally from Tiswas. Oh.
You're the second person that said her. I had to
really
look her up because, obviously I knew.
There were a lot of perverts around in the 70s and 80s then, weren't
there? William Shaw earlier, who couldn't remember the woman's name, was like, oh, there was this woman and she took all her clothes off, and that's all he could remember until he remembered her name, and it was the woman from the Railway Children, whose name I've forgotten again already. Jenny Agata, whatever her name is. Yeah, but apparently she took all her clothes off. All right.
I could think of better people to take all their clothes if I'm honest with you, but
each their own.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Where's the funniest or strangest place you've ever woken up?
That would be on the front seat of a Peterbilt truck in the desert in North Kuwait after a 40-hour shift doing on the rigs, and I just crashed, and the only place to crash was either on the desert floor or in this Peterbilt truck, and the Peterbilt won, but only just. Horrible things. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there's nowhere stranger I've woken up. I have woken up in some fairly strange places, I admit, with some fairly strange people as well, but we won't go into that. But yes, I should say that is the strangest.
I love asking that question because you see people go, shit, no, can't say that. Which one can I use?
How do you know I didn't do that?
I'm saying nothing.
No.
I'll ask you after, it's fine.
I won't be able to remember anyway.
It's like, oh, no, there was this. Oh no, I don't remember. I reckon you're just using that as an excuse now.
Just reckon what?
Using that as an excuse.
Oh no, really, seriously, I'm not.
What else can I ask you? Nasty, horrible questions. Oh, if you were able to travel to any period of time, either forwards or backwards, where would you go?
I wouldn't go forwards. I'd never go forwards, because if you went forward by, say, 20 years and you stepped out of the machine and you weren't there, ta-da, don't go forwards, whatever you do, unless you're just going to have a look at the lottery numbers for next week, which is absolutely fine. I'd do that. I don't know. Ooh, I don't really know. I'd go backwards, but I wouldn't have a specific point in time where I'd like to go back to. I'd like to go back to the 1900s or the late 1800s to see what life would be like for somebody like me, working class Dick. And but I wouldn't like to stay there, because they used to sleep on ropes and things. You know where sleep tight comes from? It comes from not being able to afford a room or a bed to sleep on, and landlords and landladies would put a rope up across a room, and you would get people slumped over it, sleeping on it, like for tuppence a night or whatever it was, if they had nowhere else to stay. And that's where sleep tight comes from, because if the rope was saggy, So yeah, I'd like to go and see what things would be like, but I wouldn't like to experience it for too long, because I bet it wasn't very pleasant. Having said that, there'd be no technology, there'd be no mobile phones, there'd be no horrible damn scooters, there'd be no internet, there'd be no cables and pylons ruining your view, but you'd have to drink mucky water and have no running, taps and things like that. So.
Yeah. And no anaesthetic, no antibiotics, no sanitation, crappy food.
Yeah.
And then the wars to come as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You see, you now, the position that we're in, we think we're at the cutting edge, and we are, but only for now. Back in the 17th, 16th, 15th centuries, that was the cutting edge. And look how retarded we think they are now. Do you know how backward? But everything was. But you think about the stuff that they did in the 14th, 15th, 16th centuries. The buildings they built, still around. You won't get that in Beeston these days, will you? No, you will not. Leeds in a few hundred years will be a couple of buildings, and they'll have been built in the 18th century anyway. All the slums that they're building these days, they'll have gone.
Well, I live next to Luton, and it already looks like that anyway. So
does it?
Yeah.
There's no. I think. Do we need craftsmanship anymore? But the stuff that they're building these days is crap. Leeds suffered a few years ago from boiler thefts, because they'd take them to the scrap man and get money for the copper and such. And they were nicking boilers, not out of old houses, but out of new houses before they'd even been built properly, fully rather. I went into one house as a burglary scene to examine where they'd taken the boiler from. And the burglars thought it was funny, had written, sack the security guard right across one of the walls with spray paint, which I took a picture of. It was brilliant. But the standard, I won't say which house builder it was, but there'd be pipes running along the joists, and they'd just be secured with a nail underneath them or something like that. It was terrible. And I thought, this is 200 grand's worth of house, and it's crap. So yeah, but I mean, back in the old days, they might have used lead piping, but it was secured properly. Wasn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then just poisoning you slowly as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Give your babies lead bottles.
Yeah.
Oh God. Feed them some mercury.
So are you working on anything at the moment, and what's coming next for you?
Well, it's funny you should mention that, because the Pain of Strangers has taken over from the Third Rule. Well, it's had a knock-on effect for all the other books, and so I've corrected Black by Rose to meet with the people in the Pain of Strangers. I've done the Sword of Damocles. I've done Leston Luck, and I'm now working on the Death of Jessica Ripley. I'm about 7/8 of the way through that one, and then I've got the This Side of Death to do, and then that's all the books brought up to date. All they need then is re-releasing and a new cover, and then I'm going to take the Third Rule and have that as a standalone. So I've still got that to do, introduce new characters into that, replace Eddie. But I'm working on number 7 when I get time, I'm working on number 7 when I can't do the other stuff that needs 2 screens or whatever. So I'm about 3,000 or 4,000 words into a new Eddie book, and I'm loving it already. I wrote down the story, and I managed to get it bang on in my head, and it's coming together really well. I've only ever had once before. I was filling the dishwasher, and I had a story go plop, and it just landed straight in my lap, and I couldn't write it down fast enough, and that became a book called 1977, which features an old guy in a nursing home, and his name is Hunt, and they give him lots of different nicknames, and he ends up fighting with the people who are taking care of him, because I can't really get into it really, because I will release it one day. Anyway, I've written about 40,000-50,000 words of that, and then I had to put it aside for another book I wanted to write. Things, don't you think things barge each other out of the way? You know, it's not just importance, it's a case of I want to write that one, so I'm going to put this one aside. So I've got that one to go back to 1977 now, which I'm looking forward to. But I do want to write Eddie 7. I don't even know if I can fit what I need to fit in that one book. There's so much happening. You know me, I have a main plot and at least, well, a couple or 3 subplots as well. Well, this one, I've got a main plot, and so far there's something like 5 subplots. So I might have to just put it aside. I don't know. Put a couple of subplots aside for book 8 or something. I don't know. But we finished book 7. I can't even remember all of book 7. I can't remember it all. I do remember there were a bit of a cliffhanger to book 7, I think. And I'm undecided whether to even finish it in book. Sorry, there was a cliffhanger for book 6, and I'm even undecided whether to finish that cliffhanger in book 7. I might leave it yet, because you only get so many subplots in a 90,000, 100,000 word book, don't you? And I've learned my lesson. I ain't going above 100,000 anymore. No way. My first book was 260,000 words, and that was a pig to sell. Really was. So I ain't doing that again. See, you live and you learn. All you new writers out there.
No 260,000 words, right? No good.
260.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think I've reached 60,000 yet, so I don't think there's any chance of that.
Well, once you get the trouble with the third rule, the first edition, that was 260,000, and I gave myself free rein. I wouldn't hold back on anything. There was 5 or 6 main characters. Well, 5 or 6 characters. Eddie was the main character in there, and they all had a story, and each story had various characters in it, and various happenings, various situations that all needed exploring. And I just said, yeah, do it, go on, do it. Well, when I got to Bloodhound and it was 260,000, I said, can you shave anything off it? I thought, oh, well, I'll try. And I got it down to, it's now 180,000. So I got rid of a full book out of it, didn't I?
Yeah.
So even that, you see, that is the first book in the Eddie Collins series. It's still too big. Most people now, I mean, the 100,000 word book is not a quick fix by any means, but it's a week's reading for most people, shall we say, or 3 or 4 days perhaps, or something. Hello, dog. But if you give something, yeah, if you give something 180,000, that's a fortnight. It's a big investment of time, is that? And people are on a Kindle, reading it on a Kindle, they're there forever, flicking pages, reading, and they seem to be getting no further along. And I think that is a big thing why people love the third rule story, but I think some of the reviews are brilliant book eventually. And you sort of see where they're coming from, which is one of the reasons why I ditched it as the first book, fine as a standalone, not as a first book in a crime series.
Yeah, well, I think you've done a pretty decent job of, sorting that out. So we'll let you off.
Yeah, like I said before, I was bricking it because I just did not know if it was a decent book or not. But I'm pleased to say you think it is, so that's all right.
It's incredible. Oh, and I will continue saying it's incredible because it is.
That is very kind of you to say so. Thank you.
And I read shed loads.
Yes,
So
I
for
know you
it
do. Yeah.
to have that much of an impact, it's incredible.
Oh, that's brilliant, isn't that? That's really good. Yeah.
And I think that's quite a nice note to end on.
Super duper. I must have bored you enough. How long have we been on now?
An hour nearly, or maybe just over, I'm not sure.
All right, very good.
I didn't even look. It's gone so quick. But before we go, would you like to just remind everyone where they can find out more about you if they would like to, and where they can get your books from?
Well, The Pain of Strangers is only available on Amazon. I'm yet undecided whether to go wide on that with go to Kobo and Apple and all the other places and Barnes and Noble, or to keep it just on Apple. Would you? Would you go wide with it?
Oh yeah, everyone needs to read it.
Well, so anyway, I'll give that some thought. I've got 3 months to think of it because it's in KDP Select at the moment. So the people who have are in Kindle Unlimited get it as part of their subscription for no extra charge, obviously. So, and it's doing quite well on page reads at the moment, so I might leave it at the moment. So the Pain of Strangers is only available on your local Amazon at the moment. All the other books in Eddie's series are available Google, Apple, Barnes and Noble, Kobo, and Amazon. All the short stories, I think they're available wide still. I was thinking about bringing those just under the Amazon wing. I don't know about those. I need to write another 2 shorts, or another 2 novellas, and then I can put 6 together in a book. And I'll tell you what else I'm doing as well. I get a lot of people saying, we don't understand what this means, and we don't understand what that means. And I don't mean police speak, and I don't mean the letters that we speak, you know, all these jargon stuff. I mean English speak, English slang. People get stuck on English slang. So I'm creating a glossary of Eddie terms and Yorkshire terms and police terms, and I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna publish it wide so that I can make it free, so that people can and you know, I'll make it into a bit of a giggle as well if I can. But it does have a serious note that you can, if you want to refer to what the hell does he mean by this, you can look it up in this free glossary. So that's another thing that I'm going to be working on shortly. And that's it. The Roger Coniston books, they are in Kindle Unlimited as well, only available on Amazon. And that's it. That's all she wrote at the moment.
Yes, well, I hope your book continues to do as brilliantly as it should do.
Oh, bless. And by the way, your viewers, if they go to my website, andrewbarratt.co.uk, and sign up to my newsletter, they do get a couple of free books. One of them is The Third Rule. Like I say, very long book, and it is going out of date shortly. I'll change that eventually to another couple of books that they can get for free. But if you're in Kindle Unlimited, you can't give your books away. People have to buy them from Kindle. I can't even sell them on my website because you're not allowed to. It's exclusive to Amazon. So the more books that you put in Kindle Unlimited, the fewer you can give away on your website. But certainly for the time being, people can sign up and read, I call it, on the website and get a couple of free books.
Oh, awesome. Well, brilliant. Well, thank you very much. It's been awesome.
My pleasure.